One key tip I recommend for frequent travelers is to sign up to a loyalty program. And the loyalty program I am most invested in is the British Airways Executive Club. I really like British Airways and I really like the loyalty scheme. And as with all my videos, I am not a stooge. I'm not paid by them. There's no backhanders. This is just my personal experience. But the thing I like about British Airways is certainly compared to maybe those Middle Eastern or Asian carriers, it may not necessarily have the best reputation for luxury, but it's got some fantastic qualities to it. I mean, first and foremost, it's by far the best carrier in terms of getting to somewhere from the UK. So if you are based in the UK and need to get somewhere in the world, whether it's Latin America, Caribbean, North America, Africa, Europe, Asia, British Airways is the best option. Certainly, if you're not interested in long, boring stopovers, which I'm not. Another key factor for me why I like British Airways is the customer service, especially when things go wrong. We've had a few instances of cancelled flights, of meltdowns of the air traffic control. Obviously, there was all the situation with COVID. We had quite a few holidays booked, which were cancelled. Things like, for example, we were booked to go to Tel Aviv. Just as the things kicked off after October the 7th, no problem in cancelling that. So that's a big plus for me. Now, anyway, coming on to the issue of the executive club and how it works, there seems to be a bit of confusion from people I speak to just about the structure of it, the perks, how you go about moving up the ranks. So I thought I would talk you through my experience going from a blue member some 15 years ago through to bronze, silver, and now gold. There's a few caveats and tricks in there to do this, and I think we're going to lose gold in due course. But let's start at the very beginning and the key fundamentals of the executive club. The first one is the difference between Avios and tier points. This is one that a lot of people kind of mix up, and it is important. The two are linked, but the two are separate. But let's start with Avios points. Avios points are basically air miles. These are the points you will earn from your flights and holidays, hotels. So basically, anything you spend with BA, you'll get your Avios points. Avios points can only be used in terms of a transactional purpose. So that will be getting money off a flight, a holiday. You could even do things like, I think, pay for taxis or car hire. Even buy, if you're flying economy on a short haul flight, you can even buy some gin and tonic or other nibbles on the plane using Avios. So put simply, yeah, Avios is air miles, it's your currency. Tier points, on the other hand, are different. Tier points are de facto status. So you will earn tier points for the flights you take, and the points you earn go towards increasing your status. In a nutshell, there are four levels of membership, four tiers, as it were. The entry level is blue. You don't really get anything for blue other than the right to collect Avios and collect tier points. You need 300 tier points before you get any kind of perk, which is bronze membership. Pretty straightforward. The bronze gets you priority boarding and business check-in, which is good. Free seat selection 7 days before you travel, and boost actually gives you a boost of 25% in the Avios points that you get. The real perks kick in at 600 points, which is silver. And actually, for me, I think silver is the sweet spot. It's pretty easy to attain with a few flights, a few choice select flights, and it gives you all the main perks you need, which is business class check-in, free seat allocation, full stop, business class lounges, which is great, and extra baggage allowance, all that sort of stuff. And unlike bronze, where you get a 25% boost to your Avios, you get 50% at silver. The big one, the 1500, is gold. So you have all the perks with silver as you do gold, but your Avios points are boosted from 50% to 100%. In addition, rather than using the business class lounge or check-in, certainly in Heathrow they have a first wing and a dedicated first class check-in and a dedicated first class lounge. These lounges are certainly quite nice, a bit of a step up from the business class lounges, but the fact they're only really limited, like I think Heathrow and there's one in New York, means unless you're travelling via Heathrow, or you're going Gatwick or City Airport, which I realised doesn't even have a bloody lounge. Unbelievable. It's nice, but I don't think it's worth all those extra points. The other good thing about Gold is when you land, there is an arrivals lounge. That can only be used by Gold members. You can't bring a guest in as you can with all the others. But it's a nice way if you have an overnight flight. One downside is it shuts at 2 in the afternoon, and I believe that's a hard shut. It will take you a lot of flights, even business class flights. We'll come on to that because let's have a look at how much tier points, or how many tier points would be the right way to phrase it, wouldn't it? You get for flights. The amount of tier points you will get for each flight you do is dependent on two factors. The first is the distance you are traveling, and the second is the cabin that you choose to fly in. I'm going to make this even more confusing by breaking it down into two sections for this. We're going to do the first section on European. I'm going to say short haul, but there's a small tweak to that. But short haul European flights and international flights. Let's take the short haul flights first. There are two regions within Europe and the outer side of Europe that BA have. One is the sort of core mainland Europe, and within maybe a couple of hours of London, so anywhere from Dublin to Paris to Frankfurt to Ibiza to wherever you want to go. That's one pricing level. But the one above that, where you go slightly further afield, these are the 3 4 hour ones. These are places like Reykjavik, Athens, Istanbul, Cairo, Marrakesh, perfect examples. These actually are a little bit further, so you do get quite a big bump, which is also important because of the class of travel, in the sense that these flights only ever have economy or business, which they call Club Europe. Main difference being that you get more space and some food in Club Europe, you don't in economy. These are actually pretty good when you go into those further flung places because it's a lot more comfortable for such a long flight without the usual sort of amenities. But let me give you an example of how these can stack up. Let's do a simple flight from London Heathrow to Paris Charles de Gaulle. So if you see that, the economy will give you tier points of 10 and the business will give you 40. So you get 20 points for return flights with economy and 40 points for business. Also worth stressing that tier points are fixed, so it doesn't matter whether you're bronze, silver, or gold or anything. These tier points are fixed irrespective of your travel category. The thing that does change based on your travel category is the Avios points, but we'll come to that a bit later. Now, if we do the same flights from London to, let's say, Athens, which is one of those distances a bit further, you'll see economy jumps to 20 points and business is 80 points. So a return trip in economy would be 40 points, and a return trip in business would be a nice, healthy 160 points. These are really good options when it comes to boosting your tier points, certainly if you're getting close or running a bit short of reaching the next level. They give you a nice boost and tend to be better value for money. Moving on to the long haul calculations, this is where things get a bit interesting, a little bit more complicated. So rather than having the two classes of travel, you actually can, it's usually three, but you can get four. So you have your bog standard economy, you then have, which they call World Traveller. You then have premium economy, which is dubbed World Traveller Plus. Then business class, which is Club World, and finally first class, which is just first. That's not available on all flights. You're definitely going to get three of them, but occasionally on some of those more popular flights, you do get first class. The tier points here, you will see, just ratchet up completely. So you go from 40 points for economy to 90 points for premium economy to 140 points for business and 210 points for first. So a return first class trip to New York's going to get you 420 points. So yeah, that's a lot of points and your most pretty healthy way towards the silver membership there. And this is where Avios points and tier points match, because the higher you go up in tier points, so the status points, the more Avios points or the more air miles you will get. So if you're a blue member that flies to New York, you'll get 1,729 Avios points for economy and 8,645 for first class, which isn't particularly great, to be honest. But let's say you're a gold member, suddenly you get 2,594 points for economy, but a whopping 12,968 for first class flights. Let's look at some examples then. So if you took three premium economy flights, these are long haul flights, you'd get 540 points. You could then do a business class return trip to Europe, bang, you got silver membership. So that's the sort of thing that we historically did because it was a lot easier to do and you get most of the perks. Going to gold membership, though, is really tough. Even if you took 5 business class flights long haul to New York, you'd only get 1,400 points, so you'd still be short. That usually gives you an indication of just how hard it is, and it usually is only the seasoned business travelers that can attain, or used to be the seasoned business travelers that could attain that status. And one final point before we delve a bit deeper on how to boost your tier points. Um, the household account. So you can pull together your household account when it comes to Avios, so air miles. So that's great. You can pull it together. You can put it down for some big chunky deposit. So that's great. You cannot do that. It doesn't work with tier points. For some reason, they are kept individual. I found this really annoying. I think it's a flaw in the system because, say, for example, my wife and I would travel quite a lot. We'd earn enough or get enough points between us to get to gold, but because we couldn't do that individually, we're both stuck at silver. However, let's say one person who's a frequent business traveler can just about scrape to gold, but because you can take in an additional guest to the lounge and all this sort of stuff, it kind of makes you feel a little bit annoyed, but it is what it is. But that's something I wish BA would maybe have a look at, pulling together the household account. But I doubt they'll listen to me. Righty ho. So I mentioned one of the tips about using those sort of mid-range European flights like Reykjavik or Athens or Istanbul as a good way to boost your tier points. I will give you a few other ways to do it. We were historically silver for quite a few years actually, but there's this amazing hack that I really hope BA keeps that we've been using and has managed to get us to gold, and that is the double tier points. So if you book a flight and at least 5 nights in a hotel, or a book a flight and a hire car, BA will double the tier points. This is absolutely amazing. We've managed to get to gold really quite easily, and it's been great. So rather than necessarily, let's say you do a business class flight to New York, 140 there, 280 for a return flight, they will double that. So you'll get 560 points for a holiday, and absolutely brilliant. So they're running it till the end of June. They have extended it a few times, sort of after it was initially launched during COVID. But to me, this is just a no-brainer because the fact that you can only get tier points on flights and you get no additional reward for booking a hotel or a car. I don't know why BA don't either keep this or play around with it and start offering bonus tier points for people that do holidays permanently. But this is something that's definitely amazing, and use it while you can because I'm sure they're going to withdraw it, unfortunately. But yeah, that's probably the best thing you can do, at least in the short term, to get up the ranks. Even so, beyond the double tier points, the general rule is you can't really fly economy and expect to get anywhere. You're going to have to go further afield. You're going to have to upgrade the cabins and splash a bit more of the cash to move up the ranks. It's one of those unfortunate realities. But I will say, having certainly at least silver level membership and to a lesser extent gold, not sure it's fully worth it. Those little perks of traveling, like the business class check-in, the priority boarding, the lounge access, makes such a difference when it comes to travel. So that's my basic guide to British Airways executive clubs. There are a few other quirks and perks thrown in there. You'll find 2,500 points, you get various sort of cabin upgrade vouchers, and at 35,000 points, you get, I think it's a gold membership for life. But those are pretty hard to get, and I think pretty rare and not available to most mainstream travellers. So my wrap up for anyone looking at the British Airways Executive Club is I really like it. I think it's a great platform. There are some issues with it, some sort of problems that could be ironed out, but on the whole, it's a really effective way to reward loyalty. And if you're starting out on Blue, don't be deterred. Don't sort of get too aspirational. I found what's really good and really manageable was just focus on getting up one tier at a time. So it was initially okay. Let's get to bronze, and we got to bronze for a couple of years. Okay, then we get to silver, and then finally we get to gold. But as I said, I think if they withdraw the double tier points, we're going to plummet back down to silver. But I'm happy with that. Although if BA were to tweak the system, don't twerk it for goodness sake, then it would be a good chance to reward some of the loyalty that not all of us people that can afford to travel business or get our companies to pay business travel can enjoy. Thanks a lot. See you next time.